And a TGIF, everyone. Welcome into the First Call podcast. He's Scott Shapiro. I'm Jeremy Plonk, representing First Bet and Express Bet. Doors are opening, doors are closing. It's cold outside, so hurry up. Keep it warm inside. We've got the end of the meet coming up at places like Woodbine this weekend, also closing action at Los Alamitos, Charlestown finishing things up. But Scott, the door opens in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Opening day today at Oaklawn Park. So happy to have that Mid-South track ready for their extended meet that'll go all the way through the Kentucky Derby. The calendar is in flux.
Sure is. Winter is here. I can tell from the outside. And then when Oaklawn kicks off, you really know things are here. But yeah, we won't talk about an Oaklawn Stakes race on this program, but we'll be getting into plenty of that over the course of the winter. One of the best meets for gambling sake, good field sizes, good purses. Looking forward to it. And I know you'll be locked in there as well.
The all-weather surface, one of the keys of this all-weather kind of weekend we have for you coming up. So for the benefit of those of you on our audio channels, I'll review the schedule of stakes races Scott and I will handicap over the next half hour. But for those of you watching on X or on YouTube, be sure to comment. Tell us who you like in the races. Get involved in the chat and help us grow the audience here. Share and like this out for the podcast. First Call podcast schedule for tomorrow, which is December the 13th on Saturday. We'll go to Gulfstream Park during the championship meet for a pair of stakes, the Tropical Park Oaks and the Tropical Park Derby. At Los Alamitos, it's Futurity Day on Saturday and a big day-night card at Los Alamitos. The quarter horses at night have the Champion of Champions. We won't handicap that one, but I'll tell you where you can get my picks in just a little while. Los Al Futurity for the thoroughbreds, our feature race there from Orange County. At Turfway Park on Saturday, it's the Synthetics Championships. Did you know they had those? Yeah. Well, we're going to have synthetic races up and down the lineup at Turfway Park with big stakes purses on the line. We will handicap three of those, the My Charmer, the Prairie Bayou, and the Holiday Cheer. We'll stay on the all-weather and go to Woodbine, their closing weekend, the La Previante Stakes coming up on Saturday. That'll be the feature in Canada. And at Fairgrounds, it's Louisiana Champions Day. Big races for the Louisiana breds on all surfaces there. Louisiana Champions Turf will be the race that Scott spotlights as his key play on that Fairgrounds card. We told you about Los Alamitos with the day-night doubleheader with the thoroughbreds and the quarter horses this time of year. Bet $100 on Saturday at Los Alamitos. Get $20 back. That's a 20% rebate. Now, here's the deal. $50 has to be played on the thoroughbred card during the day, $50 on the quarter horse card at night, which features Saturday night, the big race in all of AQHA racing, the Champion of Champions. If you're not too accustomed to quarter horse racing, be sure to check out my blog at expressbet.com and at news.first.com. Former chart caller with Equibase in the quarter horse ranks and worked several quarter horse meets at Remington Park. So I love playing and handicapping the short liners. Champion of Champions, a great race. Impress them in that race. Is going for a third win in the Champion of Champions. The only horse ever to do that, Refrigerator, who's kind of the secretariat of the short liners, if you will. So impressive, one of the horses that we'll be watching certainly on Saturday night in the Champion of Champions. But again, you can check out my picks in that blog. Be sure to take part. It's got a 20% rebate, nothing to sneeze at there.
No doubt about it. Always enjoyed going to Los Al. I pulled a doubleheader more than once there. I still have a 949 area code to show for it. And what was the Refrigerator by chance named after William Perry? When did he come in the rank?
Yeah, Refrigerator was in the early 90s. So yeah, that would have been right in that category there, right after the 85 Bears. So yeah, Refrigerator, I believe Bill Helzer, William Helzer of Texas, Texan, but I don't know if he was a big Chicago Bears fan, but yeah, Refrigerator was he was a stone cold runner, that's for sure. And like the fridge barreling into the end zone. Let's go to Gulfstream Park and start off our handicapping for Saturday, Scott. Championship meet in full swing there. Really is going to pick up when some of the big jocks and trainers bring the horses and their talent south for the winter. But the Tropical Park Derby and Oaks are both on the card on Saturday. We're going to start things off with the Tropical Park Derby in race number 11. It's our Express Bet race of the week. You can get a full write-up of this each and every week for the Express Bet race of the week in your email newsletter. So be sure to sign up for the monthly or the weekly, I should say, newsletter with First Bet and Express Bet. We go to the Tropical Park Derby. Of course, this was formerly a New Year's Day race, would kick off the 3-year-old season in a lot of years. And you go back in its history, Kitten's Joy won this race. Barley Scarborough, Meckie, some real big names on the turf. It's a little bit different on the calendar now at the end of the year, Scott, but we've got a big field in here, 12 with an also eligible. How'd you see it shaking out?
Yeah, these races, both of them, the Derby and the Oaks, came up pretty fun here. I mean, the top Tropical Park Derby drew a full field, like you said. Brad Cox and Godolphin with Chapman's Peak in here. You got Simulate, Claiborne, and Bill Mott. Plenty of big name barns and horses that should take some money. But I like the horse that's been locally impressive thus far, and that's the number 6 Layabout. This one showed up and showing up last time out off a 2-month layoff. And while he got beat, giving up a 2-length lead in the stretch to a long shot in Super Forces, I think Jonathan Ocasio would probably like to have that ride back. He was caught 3 wide into the first turn, which did force his hand a little bit. And it was off a short freshening, but this horse has shown an affinity for this course. He even went to Kentucky Downs and ran well there. So he just seems like a serious 2-turn turf horse at this point for Patrick B. and Cone. And it'll be Junior Alvarado who will get the call this time. 10-1. I think this is a race where I'm willing to take a swing.
Yeah, you mentioned Jonathan Ocasio might like to have the ride back. He'd like to keep the ride. And a lot of times when you look at a jock and you think that they move too soon and you see a rider change, it probably means the trainer agreed with you. And they're going to a heavy hitter like Junior Alvarado here during the championship meet on Layabout. I'm with you. I think this is the horse to beat. Coming off this effort again, where he probably just hit the front too soon.
XY Prime tries to battle back along the inside. Dana just swung out into the clear. There's Versus. Super Forces down the center. Win with Faith found a seam and is finishing nicely as well. Final 16th. Layabout's trying to finish the job, but Super Forces is lunging after Layabout. It's these two to the wire. Super Forces got it. Super Forces won it. Layabout was second. Got tight for third. Candy Towner
and one up that performance with Layabout. Scott and I both on that one for B and Cone in race number 11. Let's work backwards on that Saturday card now at Gulfstream Park and go to the Tropical Park Oaks. It's race number 8 on the card. 3-year-old fillies, of course, in this one, 1 mile and a 16th on the turf. And again, another full field capacity lineup of 12 with some also eligibles. Big fields, the story of the day in these Tropical Park Derby and Oaks races. Scott, who do you like in race 8?
Well, I expect a filly like Destino D'Oro to take a lot of money. She might get the pace to chase. She's taken on better, but she's a tough one for me to want to back in a race like this, coming from well off of it, never been over this Gulfstream Park surface. So a little bit tough to close at times. She has shown some tactical speed, but I'm going to go with another 10-1 shot in the Oaks version or the filly version of this race. I like number 5, Mischief in Motion in here. And this is a filly that another one that's really done very little wrong since moving to the turf. And 2 back wired out of field in Delaware. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Then last time, another one that was a little bit overly aggressively ridden. Now, Jaramillo does not lose the mount like Jonathan Ocasio does, but I think it was pretty clear that this filly was best that day. And I really like her versatility. She won over the Colonial side back in August, coming from several lengths off the pace. So she's got the tactical speed to find her spot, but she doesn't need the lead. So I'm going to try number 5, Mischief in Motion here, second start over this course for Michael Trombetta.
She comes out of the Cello Shiraz Stakes, as does the top 3 finishers in that race. So keep an eye on all of those as we go back and take a look at that race at Gulfstream from Halloween.
Pretty Lavish is starting to drop away and closing in a Sigh No More from last as heads turn for home in the Christiana. Mischief in Motion's been this long time leader and a confident kick too and opens up by 3. Don't Jinx It loomed and flattened out on Bias closing in, and Sigh No More had a tough task over the rain affected lawn. Mischief in Motion, a classic act today in the Christiana Stakes to beat Don't Jinx It.
Threw myself a curveball there. I had the video for the Christiana Stakes queued up for Mischief in Motion. It is true, though, the top 3 finishers from that Cello Shiraz do come back in the rematch in there, in which your top horse in there, Mischief in Motion, was second. But that was her win in the Christiana Stakes at Delaware Park. Let's switch gears now and go from Gulfstream, and we'll leave the Tropical Park races to Los Alamitos. We're staying with the palm trees. The Los Alamitos Futurity goes as race number 8 on the Saturday card at Los Al. 1 mile and a 16th over that paperclip of a racetrack, a long stretch run at Los Al. And I think that's kind of interesting. You get a lot of horses stretching out here for the first time. But then you get some horses who may not be the strongest finishers and hang a bit. And that long stretch at Los Alamitos, like I wrote, can be no man's land sometimes. And so I'm wondering who passes whom and how this race shakes out. These 2-year-olds, several of them are going 2 turns for the first time. Litmus Test, though, has been tested around 2 turns a few times, Scott, at the highest levels. He certainly stands out on class for Bob Baffert, who I think has won this race 14 times.
Yeah, I saw a couple of those in my day, in my days in Orange County, and he's got 3 in here, like you said. He's got the best bred, which is the Spendthrift Farm homebred, Providence, out of Monomoy Girl. She was pretty good, son of Indian Mischief, but been a little underwhelming thus far. I think Litmus Test has had the Litmus Test more than once thus far compared to what he'll face in this field, and no man's land is unlikely to hit him, I would think, because of the foundation that he's built out of these races. I mean, you know, you could make excuses for why he didn't run a little bit better in a couple of his off-the-board finishes, but the fact of the matter is he's just kept far better competition thus far than anyone else in this field.
Yeah.
Ted Naffy, I mean, he held his own last time in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And, you know, it was a short field. He didn't do a ton of running, but he came home pretty solid to lead me to believe he's got more left in him here. This feels like Bob picking the right spot for Litmus Test to get a graded stakes win here as a 2-year-old.
You know, Juan Hernandez has ridden all 3 of the Bafferts in this race, and he takes Litmus Test. That's an obvious choice, I think, in this particular spot, but underscores the class of this horse. Again, coming out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, where he doesn't necessarily get a call in the stretch, but they don't pull away from him. He actually narrows the margin.
Round the far turn, Brent and Ted Naffy. They have been together throughout, and now their noses apart. These 2 grays will come to the top of the stretch together in their bi-coastal battle, and they're into the stretch, and Ted Naffy has taken the lead from Brent with 1 furlong to run, and then comes Mr. AP third. Ted Naffy there at the 16th pole. Brent is not done yet. He's coming back. Ted Naffy, Brent, Mr. AP's at a 2. Here's the wire. Ted Naffy did it. Ted Naffy wins the Breeders' Cup Juvenile over Mr. AP.
You ever feel like you heard a race call and they wanted something to happen? I mean, Larry was waiting for Ted Naffy to kind of open up that field, and then it wasn't there. Then he was waiting for the inside horse, Brant, to make a race of it, and all the while, Mr. AP said, "Don't forget about me" in the middle, and ran a good one. I don't know. Like, the more I watch that Breeders' Cup Juvenile, I have no knock on Litmus Test as it pertains to going here in the Low South Futurity. The more I watch that Breeders' Cup Juvenile, I just kind of feel like they were laboring there. I don't know. I mean, some years the Breeders' Cup Juvenile feels like a race where, hey, we know we've got A players going to next year. I don't know how much more Ted's going to do and some of these runners. I think we might be talking about different horses come April.
I certainly am not rushing to any of the futures windows to bet any of the ones coming out of there. Like you said, there's been plenty of years where a key race is certainly not the one run in the Breeders' Cup for the 2-year-olds. But yeah, that was definitely a race where Litmus Test ran better than the lack of calls he got. And yeah, they were not finishing very well in my estimation either.
Now, again, reminder, bet 100, get $20 on Los Alamitos Racing on Saturday, $50 to get 10 in the quarter or in the thoroughbred card, 50 to get the other 10 in the quarter horse. So you got to bet both, 50 on both cards to get the $20. Thoroughbreds and quarter horses Saturday. Again, Champion of Champions night at Los Al Saturday night for the quarter horses. On Sunday, it'll be a 1 million point hit and split for Los Alamitos when you bet with First Bet and Express Bet on the closing day of their card. Of course, everything must go. We'll have mandatory payouts at Los Al on Sunday. To Turfway Park we go. Scott spent many a cold night there in his day, so let's go back to Turfway for the championships, the synthetic championships. Several stakes races across various divisions at Turfway Park on Saturday. We're going to handicap 3 of them: the My Charmer, race 6, the Prairie Bayou in the 8th, and the Holiday Cheer in race number 9. To the My Charmer we go. $250,000. Older fillies and mares here going a mile on the main, of course, at Turfway Park. Scott, this is the Breeders' Cup distaff, if you will, of synthetic racing. Who do you like in the My Charmer?
Well, I think Caitlin Her Greatness is going to get hammered in here, and that makes this a little bit of an attractive race for me. Nothing against the Omaha Beach filly, but combination of 2 things. One, this feels like a little bit of an afterthought for a filly that disappointed as the favorite, to be honest, in her last couple of starts. Big field, but was supposed to win and didn't. And then you add to the fact that the Woodbine and Turfway Parks surfaces, I don't have any data to prove it with me at the moment, but they definitely don't play exactly the same. So you want to be leery of that without current Turfway Park form. So I think she's worth taking a swing against it here. And I'm going to do so with a filly, actually a mare at this point, number 9. She's Looking Lucky. And this is a horse that Matt Shire has had for throughout, but sold for $375 recently. 10 Strike Racing was involved. There no longer are. $375K though for a 5-year-old mare, not too shabby, and clearly was pointed for this race right after. So she's got to prove herself over the surface, but I think she's as classy as anyone in this field, really. Little bit camera shy, but I'm hoping maybe the surface is the difference maker here for a pretty talented 5-year-old mare that needs another win to make her career a little bit better. 22 career starts.
She looks like she's stepping up in class out of the allowance ranks, but she faced Proctor Street, definitely a stakes caliber filly there at Keeneland and Allowance Company. Let's go back to that last out runner-up, October 16th. For Scott's pick, She's Looking Lucky.
She's still second, and then She's Looking Lucky. A Lilac Rolla runs late from far back, still 5 lengths off the lead of Proctor Street. A Lilac Rolla, She's Looking Lucky running on. Proctor Street to win it by a length and a half on the line for Tyler Gaffalione.
If she can get one up, you've got a lot of last out runner-ups looking to improve that performance. So maybe you got them on the right end of their form cycle on the improve this weekend. Race number 8 on Saturday at Turfway Park is the Prairie Bayou Stakes, 1 mile middle distance runners here on the main track, of course, at $250,000 purse. Prairie Bayou named for the 1993 Preakness Stakes winner. I know you like Dresden Row in here. Make the case for this one coming out of Canada.
I was there. That was my one Preakness I went to. Prairie Bayou winning it.
I was there too, so I didn't know you back then. We were wandering around the crowd somewhere.
I knew I recognized you later in life. I thought I saw you that night or that day. The Prairie Bayou. This is the race I like most in terms of a single, if you will, if you're going to play late horizontals or just from a win bet perspective on this Turfway Park synthetic card. And I talked about the Woodbine form, not fully trusting it at Turfway, but number 5 Dresden Row has really good overall form over the all-weather. And most importantly to me, he came down for this race last year and was probably best. He lost by a head. He lost significant momentum and ground before they headed into the first turn. And the winner got the jump on him that day, a horse that was also in good form, Paros. And Dresden Row finished very well, 100 on the late pace scale. So I don't really have any concern, late pace Brisnet scale, I should say. I just don't really have any concerns at this point that he doesn't take to this surface. And I think he's as fast as anyone in the race. Should find a nice spot tucking in right behind the early speed. So we'll roll with number 5 Dresden Row, 4-1 in the Prairie Bayou.
Be interesting to see what Encino does. A year ago, he was like one of the top 3-year-olds coming out of Turfway in the winter. Really took to the surface well there, winning the John Battaglia and went on to win the Lexington. He's back on what is good footing for him. Flavian Pratt and some other big-name riders in the ride at Turfway Park on Saturday night. Encino certainly is going to take a lot of money. Brad Cox and Flavian Pratt teaming up there. So maybe that'll help your price on Dresden Row. Let's get a look at that one. North of the border.
They come inside the final quarter, and on the outside, Lost Ark. And as they turn for home, Fantastic again. The center have gone to the front for Paramount Prince. Cameo Performance needs a run, and down the outside, Swift Delivery. And as they come down the stretch, Dresden Row has come forward to hit the front. Cameo Performance up the inside. Dresden Row in front, and being chased by Cameo Performance, but Dresden Row back to his very best, wins the Autumn Stakes by 2 lengths. Ahead Bob for second.
We'll see if he can match up another victory for Scott here. Dresden Row, his top pick in the Prairie Bayou. To the holiday cheer we go. The sprint race on the card, $250,000, 6 furlongs, race number 9 for this holiday cheer stakes. A note in here, Roll On Big Joe will scratch out of here. He's at Oaklawn right now, I'm told. So he is running in the race at Oaklawn on Saturday. He is in a good race called the Ring the Bell Stakes against Skelly. A couple good ones in there. Roll On Big Joe banishing in that race at Oaklawn on Saturday. So again, some news there. Roll On Big Joe will scratch out of the holiday cheer. You've got a former Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner in No Balls, and you've got a defending champion in Howard Wallowitz. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I think the defending champ's going to be awfully tough in here. They ran Run Carson and Howard Wolowitz ran 1-2 last year, and it was Run Carson showing speed that he hasn't shown in his last couple of starts out of the gate, and almost won the race in front running fashion. It'll be interesting to see off the layoff. It looks like he's been pointing in this spot if he can show that same speed. But last year, Howard Wolowitz was able to just tuck in the pocket despite a little bit of a slow break with the inside draw, and I don't really see any reason the similar trip won't occur here. He's got one of the best, if not the best in the world, in Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard. He showed an affinity for this surface. There's some horses in here that we've seen that may be a little better at 5.5. I don't really have the question about the 6 furlongs with him. He's even won 6.5 at Kentucky Downs once. So I think Howard Wolowitz, I'm willing to put a line through the turf mile, much better field going 2 turns. He's going to be a short price, but I think he could be a potential single in the late horizontals.
Hadn't happened much, and I dare say maybe it's never happened, but you're going to have Irad and Pratt lining up next to each other in the gate at Turfway under the lights. That may have never happened in racing. We'll see. They match up. Howard Wolowitz out on bail for Pratt. Arrest Me Red's in there too, the Wesley Ward trainee who runs well over this track and a really good turf sprinter, synthetic sprinter. This is a good field. No balls in there. Roll on Big Joe. I thought, boy, why are you traveling all the way to Oaklawn, to go take on Skelly, who's won 10 in a row there in Hot Springs? But this is a spot to get away from too. I mean, this is a very difficult race in here. It's a good looking group in the holiday cheer, and you're just looking for it to run back like we saw last year in 2024.
There comes Howard Wolowitz. Run Carson and Howard Wolowitz at the top of the lane in the holiday cheer. One-timers very wide off the turn. And still with the lead, Run Carson. Howard Wolowitz unleashing a furious run to the outside, and he's right alongside and puts his nose in front. Howard Wolowitz is up to the front. Run Carson's back to second. Howard Wolowitz in the holiday chair.
36 miles an hour.
Flying through the lane at 36 miles per hour. Wouldn't that make the wind chill on a night like that when you're going 36 miles an hour, huh?
No one knows. It's just another metric with no context.
We'll close the book on Turfway Synthetic Championships card now and turn our attention to Woodbine La Previante Stakes on Saturday. The feature. Also want to note on Saturday, from a wagering standpoint, mandatory payout in the Super High Five, which will be race number 10 on the card, the race after the La Previante Stakes. So you got a chance to go after some big money. They have frozen that carryover in the Super High Five. I believe it's about 190,000 US, over 200,000 Canadian. So be sure to check that out on Saturday at Woodbine. And just for good measure, we're giving away 10 times first rewards points on Woodbine wagers Friday and Saturday when you bet with First Bet and Express Bet. So plenty of reasons to play Woodbine over this closing weekend. Again, 10 times first rewards points given out on all wagers today, Friday, and tomorrow, Saturday, including that mandatory payout in the Super High Five. Let's get the fans a winner in the La Previante Stakes, race number 9. This race named for the 1972 Canadian Horse of the Year. How's this, Scott? You go 12 for 12, set a record for most consecutive wins by a 2-year-old. You're in the Canadian Hall of Fame. You're in the U.S. Hall of Fame. And you weren't even the best member of the 1972 rookie crop because that was the year of Secretariat's debut.
Yeah, was Sham a good 2-year-old?
And Sham was in the same class, of course, yes.
Yeah. Well, the horse, the filly I'm about to pick here is no comparison for that, but she has been facing far better competition than she meets in here. She comes out of graded stakes races here at Woodbine, and now she drops into a restricted spot just for the state breds, or not the state breds, but the Ontario breds, the Canadian breds. And there is not much speed in here. I think the blinkers coming off will probably benefit her. She should be able to relax more on the lead. That remains to be seen. But I just think she meets a soft field compared to what she's used to and has a pace advantage. So Hurricane Claire, to me, pretty much of a standout here in the Ontario bred scene.
She's looking to get back to the winner's circle like she did as a 3-year-old. 4-year-old season hasn't quite gone as well as thought. But again, it's about your company and the competition you're with. When she's lined up with the right ones, she can put them away.
And they turn together, racing away in the Wonderwear. Hurricane Claire and Stormcast on the inside, stride to stride by 4 lengths. Hurricane Claire on the outside, narrowly Stormcast trying to keep up. It's Hurricane Claire, a narrow lead from Stormcast, 3 to My Girl Della. Hurricane Claire on the outside, Stormcast the rail not going away. Hurricane Claire a neck in front, now a half, and she has really deserved the Wonderwear Stakes. She wins by about a long neck. Stormcast
Eric and Claire, the top pick for Scott in the La Proviente Stakes, race number 9 at Woodbine. Let's go to Fairgrounds to wrap things up, where it's Louisiana Champions Day on Saturday. Stakes up and down the line for the state breds. They're in all different divisions, and there's some badass Louisiana breds in their individual divisions. We could have some short prices on the card in some of those races, but in others, maybe the Louisiana Champions Turf, we can find ourselves some good value. $5,000 late pick 5 and late pick 4 hit and split offered if you bet with First Bet and Express Bet this Saturday at the Fairgrounds. $500 in additional cash up pick 4. That same $2,500 up for grabs in the late pick 5. Scott's got your handicap for those. Let's talk about the Louisiana Champions Turf. Scott, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, I've got a blog up if you want to look at the full thoughts on the all 5 pick 5 races, but this was an interesting race. I think horse we're going to take a look at, Let Mike Figure It Out, has a big chance here if he figures out the surface switch, but he's going to be the favorite likely. He might have things his way on the front end. I don't fully trust him at the price he's likely going to be. You know, you've got last year's winner in Woods and Water I took a look at, but comes in fresh here. I like All Night Moonlight. I'm a little bit worried about being too far out of it. We got the right man in the saddle and Jose Ortiz to hopefully make a difference up there. This one is 4 recent turf races, and they've all been impressive. He's got a very strong finish, and he's got a win already over this course, which can be a little bit quirky. 9 for 27 in his career. So I'll roll with number 11, All Night Moonlight, as probably the second or third choice here, 5-1 on the morning line.
Many of these horses coming out of the Jake Morial Memorial Stakes, but that was on the dirt. How it translates to the turf, we're not sure, but they are familiar foes.
And away, let Mike Figure It Out. 3/4 won at 12.70 seconds. Coming down for the final furlong. Good and Stout now with a stiff challenge for Let Mike Figure It Out, who's dug his heels in. Let Mike Figure It Out does, and leads here by 2 to Good and Stout. Sipping on gin toward the rail on the outside. He's late again at Highland Creek between horses. Let Mike Figure It Out. Let Mike Figure It Out. Wire to wire by 3. From Good and Stout, he's late again and sipping.
That wraps up our handicapping domestically. If that's not enough for you this week, and don't forget, it's the Hong Kong International races Saturday night into Sunday morning. Some great superstar horses from around the world coming to Hong Kong in that one. Aidan O'Brien's bringing some of his big hitters from Ireland to Hong Kong. And of course, you got the local legend in there, Romantic Warrior, headlining the card. You've got Kalying Rising, maybe the best grass sprinter in all the world. So a fantastic card in Hong Kong at Sha Tin on Saturday night into Sunday morning. You got to either get up really early, stay up very late, or hope you're in Hawaii, Scott. I mean, it's one of those things where the timing is difficult for those races, but some outstanding racing in Hong Kong this weekend.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm early to bed a lot of times on Saturday night, early to wake up, and I sometimes can catch the end, or I catch people, or when I kind of wake up. But yeah, the timing on that is tricky. But will Johnny Burke have our Hong Kong man have a blog up? Is he back in? I
hope so. He was back from Arizona here. He's been traveling all around the world, symposium and stuff. That we're hoping to get Johnny's blog for those Hong Kong international races for this weekend. We'll check out ExpressBet and news.first.com for all that. We've got 10 times first rewards points for all wagers on that Hong Kong international races card at Sha Tin Saturday night into Sunday. So plenty of incentive to play there. That wraps up our handicapping for this weekend. Appreciate Scott's insights to look. These are tracks where he's been a big part of over the years. Fairgrounds, Turfway Park. These are spots, Scott, where I'm expecting big things from you this weekend.
Well, I will say Turfway. I've got I would think these are very difficult cards, but they can be lucrative if you hit them. I probably have an edge there in some way. Louisiana Breds, I head down there. I had fun on the Louisiana Breds day, but my work was focused on the open company races. So I'm probably a little bit of a leg up, knowing connections and stuff, but it's not like I follow them year round.
Your focus was on the beignets and bread pudding. Don't kid us.
I mean, good food there. I wish I could relive some of those meals. That's for sure.
On behalf of everybody with First Bet and Express Bet, you could tell I'm hungry. Let's end this podcast and go get some dinner. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.